sort of very fearful sort of journey, much anxiety, and reach town area. In many sorts of relief way. Relief. So emotionally also some freedom there. So since they invited me, so I decided this time to go there, and then you see, it creates some problems. Very sad. Very sad. That's all. Next question?
Another question about Taolan monastery, if I may. Another question about Taolan. A spiritual one. You mentioned your deep emotional attachment. You were there 15 years ago. It was also near there that the 6th Dalai Lama was born.
No, yes.
I'd like to ask you, how often do you wonder about whether the 15th Dalai Lama will be found there?
That's not my business. As early as 1969, I officially, formally announced whether the very institution of Dalai Lama should continue or not up to 20 people. And then also, in 92, another my sort of official statement, I stated, when they come or return with certain degree of freedom, that means meaningful autonomy. So, we will return, then all my legitimate authority to hand it over completely to the local government. And we, Tibetan the organization in India, you see, we have no right to seek some sort of privilege or something, special right or special privilege, nothing. We are carrying our struggle on behalf of Tibetan people inside Tibet. So then, 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. At that time, four centuries old tradition, the Dalai Lama institution is the head of both spiritual and temporal. Now that's already ended. So since then, my position is semi-retired position. So political leadership every 5 years is through election come. Dalai Lama, no sort of relevance. Then the spiritual field, all Tibetan, different sort of spiritual tradition among younger generation, say age between 20, 30, quite healthy younger generation now coming there. So they will carry the responsibility. So last year, when I was in America, one Chinese media, I think one Chinese in America, the free Chinese. So they, one interview, they asked me about my sort of successor. And I told him, I'm not communist. If I'm communist, then I have to serious concern about my sort of successor. So you see, so up to 20 people. Even you see majority of 20 people feel the Dalai Lama institution is no longer much relevant, then it stays. No question of 15 Dalai Lama. If the majority of 20 people, and also concerned people, that means Mongolians and Himalayan sort of people, if they want to keep this sort of institution, then they will carry it. Not my business. Next question?
I'm David Sarnowski with Nature Magazine. You're often at the middle of a political controversy, but you're also sometimes at the middle of a scientific controversy or this idea. You mentioned science very often in your talk. Does meditation change the physiological structure? Does it change human physiology? Does it change the structure of the brain? I know you've been involved with some of the studies into this. I wonder if you can give us an update on any of the experiments you've been involved with recently, and the scientists you've been involved with recently in experiments?
Oh, I think detailed explanation. Although occasionally I proud to introduce myself as a scientist, but if such a serious question comes, then my knowledge is very zero. So I think whether I don't know, Wisconsin University's scientist, professor, David Richardson. I think he knows fully. He actually involved some experiment. So like him, I think really too, because of the person who really explained with authority. My explanation. There's one thing quite sure. You see, there is sort of clear sort of connection. Physical well-being and peaceful mental state. That I know through my own experience, as I mentioned before. That I know. And then mental state. See, on the basis of biological factor, you see, we can use our intelligence to help some of these positive sort of mental state, which basically biological factor. That can be. Perhaps I may share. Comment? Then my main sort of the way to motion of human value. From the birth, the next few years, the affection or compassion, which biologically is developed, is that quite fresh. Then say, gradually grown up, our brain development much sort of rapidly, and information of external things. So our interest then goes in these fields, automatically neglect about our certain sort of value which comes from biological factor. Now there are two levels of compassion. One level, biological. That also much action-oriented. Action-oriented. That means, you see, that limited compassion as a biological factor, you see, towards one's own friend, compassion goes. Because their attitude is positive. That limited action-oriented compassion cannot extend towards our enemy. Because enemy, their attitude is negative to you. That's one level of compassion, mainly biological factor, that's biased, limited, action-oriented. Now eventually, using our intelligence, reasons, as I mentioned earlier, in order to be more happier, more healthier, develop conviction, peace of mind, compassion is very positive, very important. Then also, in order